must say, first of all, good evening, Ehud and Nasser. I must say that almost exactly a year ago, we had a similar event in London in which we sat. This is a much nicer place, but such a nice hall. In London, it was squeezed, but you know what matters is the conversation. And at that time, the idea of even talking about the two-state solution at that time appeared like bizarre. And I was happy to see that before coming here, you did a round of talks in different campuses in America and different other places, and the idea is becoming more and more listened to and accepted. So that's good news, I think. But, I
wish you were right. I'm not certain about it. We are campaigning, and we are traveling, and we are making all these rounds of speeches everywhere. I hope that we are somehow successful in raising the awareness of the international community, the international media, and also the leaders of relevant countries, but there is still a long way to go. So we can't say that we are already there. We are not yet.
Definitely, but being a journalist, let's start with the news. Nasser, are you going back to Gaza? Are you going to be part of the new government of Gaza?
No, first of all, thank you for having me. Thank you, Haaretz, for organizing this conference. I think this is a very good opportunity to have candid discussion about the situation. And I agree with you, Aloof, that this hall is better than the hall in London. So, anyway, to answer your question, I gave the following answer to some of journalists who asked me the question. I told them, listen, any Palestinians who really hopes, who looks forward to going to Gaza must be crazy. Because Gaza is a very dangerous place. Now it's totally destroyed, as we all know. It's cancerous, basically. So it's not really something that one would hopes to have. However, this is our country. As Palestinian, I'm talking now. This is our country, and whatever happens, we don't have other place to go. So we cannot just give up our responsibility. And if needed, yes, of course, I'm going to be there. Now, you might take this as a yes answer, but it's not exactly that. It's yes, but.
So, and one more question. I just read that you came back to Ramallah after several years. And my question is, what has changed in terms not just of construction and, I don't know, new shops or whatever, but in terms of the attitude?
What changed first, objectively speaking, I think the threats against the Palestinian cause and the Palestinian people increased. And I think that dictates to all of us to rethink some of their positions and maybe to get involved in a different way. Having said that, I have to tell you the story. The story is simple. I mean, we have Mr. Mahmoud Abbas, President Mahmoud Abbas and myself have a common friend who mediated the whole thing. And it was very quick exercise. And immediately I felt that there was some positive position on the part of Mr. Abbas. I don't know why. You can ask him if you can. But there was a positive position, and I thought it was appropriate for me to take also a positive position. And that was it. And he pushed the Central Committee of Fatah to take the appropriate position in terms of reinstating my membership in the committee, not in Fatah, because I believe I have never Fatah. I don't recognize the legitimacy of the illegal action taken 4 years ago and things like that. Anyway, listen, with regard to your first comment, I think it's very important. Ehud answered in rather his usual rosy way, but in a more specific way, I believe that are two constituencies that are important for all of us. One is the communities on both sides, the Israeli side and the Israelis and the Palestinian side, and the second is the international community. And honestly, you, Aloof, were absolutely right. I mean, when we started this, nobody spoke about the two-state solution, nobody spoke about the state of Palestine, and even the Palestinian issue was out of the international agenda, was dropped from the international agenda. We succeeded with regard to the second constituency. Now it's fashionable again. Everybody is talking about that. We have conferences organized. We have the UN engaged, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's all useful and good. But the main and the most important thing is the communities on both sides, the Israelis and the Palestinians. And here, unfortunately, we haven't achieved the same degree of success.
Yes, but
why? Because of the war, probably. Because most of the people are not in the mood of talking peace. They are in the mood of taking revenge, probably, not talking peace. And that is wrong. And I believe the moment the war really seriously stops, I think everybody will start thinking their position, rethinking their positions, wondering about the usefulness of these positions, and maybe adopt a new position. I hope to be in the direction of reaching a political solution and actually believing in the two states as the only the only viable solution to the conflict between the two sides.
I perfectly agree. And clearly, both sides are traumatized. In Israel, people talk about a second October 7 as something that's around the corner or that will inevitably happen. On the Palestinian side, you talk about genocide. This is not an easy thing to digest. Ehud, you were the mayor of Jerusalem during the Second Intifada. And then the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister and Prime Minister in its later stages and so on. Can Israelis really, Jewish Israelis, overcome the trauma of October 7? Or is it something that's going to take decades or centuries?
What is the alternative of not overcoming the trauma? Is perpetuating the hostilities, the terror, the war every 2, 3, 4, 5 years forever? I mean, what's the alternative? The idea that we even have to ask this question is troublesome. As far as I'm concerned, the question is not whether we can overcome the trauma. The question is how fast and how determined we will be in changing course, because there is no other future for the state of Israel but to be able to cope with this very difficult, complex, sensitive confrontation that we have with the Palestinians towards a solution that will provide hope for us and for them. And in order to do it, we have, first of all, which in my mind is enormously important, is to understand that the 7th of October can't and will never be a paradigm upon which we will have to measure the difficulties, the complexities, the sensitivities, and the dangers to the security of the state of Israel.
Why?
Because the 7th of October is an outcome. First, of course, the 7th of October happened because Hamas is a murderous organization, and they wanted to butcher and to kill and to behead and to rape and to do the most terrible things on earth, and this is unforgettable and unforgivable. But it happened, it must be clear, it's unforgettable and unforgivable. But the fact that it could take place is largely a result of arrogance, complacency, overconfidence, and completely disregard by the Israelis to the Palestinians and to the Hamas people. Had everything been the same, okay? Everything been the same, except that Israel would have kept its defense forces where they were supposed to be on the border, what may have happened? There would have been few people killed on our side, many people killed on their side, and they will be pushed away from where they try to be, and that was it. But because of arrogance and because of a strategy which has been the part of the government policy for years, not only that we ignored completely the only potential partner that there is amongst the Palestinians, which is the Palestinian Authority, we decided to what is called or is named as to manage the conflict. How to manage the conflict? First of all, not to negotiate with the ones that can make peace with you, because peace means also conceding territories and pulling out from territories, obviously, and the creation of a Palestinian state. There is no other solution. So this is not what the government of Israel wanted to do. So they chose the alternative, a partner with whom you can never make peace. And in order to, now this is, by the way, I'm not campaigning for anything personal, okay? Relax. I can see you're starting, Aluf started to be very tense. Not. But I said it not after the 7th of October. After 7th of October, there were so many smart people that understood it. I said it on record, long before the 7th of October. It was obvious that the Israeli strategy was to flirt with Hamas. Why? Because they are not partners for peace. By the way, when Hamas attacked us, they never said, ever, we did it because Israel didn't want to negotiate peace with us, so we had no choice. They never said it. Why? Because they never even pretended that they wanted to make peace with Israel. So the Israeli government believed...
By the way.
Pardon?
They still don't.
They still don't say it, and they don't say it on these days. They try to resist the disarming, what is called as the disarming of Hamas. They would battle in order to maintain their position in Gaza so that they will not be wiped out completely. There are all kinds of things. One thing they don't say, that we want to negotiate with Israel peace. So we thought that we can buy them. We thought that we can buy them. Now, I wouldn't say more, but just one thing. Who thought so? The one person that knows that if he can be bought for money, everyone can be bought for money.
It appears as if the audience knows who you're talking about.
It looks like...
They're familiar with this person.
It looks like this audience is not so hostile.
Nasser, how can... the same question to you. Can you heal, overcome the traumas from the Palestinian side that suffered, unfathomable killing and destruction during the war?
Yes. First, Aluf, let me say that I cannot repeat what Ehud Olmert said, that I'm not running for anything. Okay, so I don't know.
We covered that one before.
Okay.
I didn't say that I don't run. I said that I don't campaign.
Okay. It's even worse, he wants to run without campaigning. Can you imagine that?
No, I just want to say that I used to run almost every day for many, many years. So everyone knows that I'm running, but I don't campaign.
Anyway, listen, the last time I was asked a similar question, I think it was on CNN, Christian Amanpour asked me, and my answer was that we cannot afford not to be hopeful. We have to remain hopeful, in spite of all the difficulties ahead of us, in spite of all the problems, all the atrocities that happened. And yes, there was atrocities on both sides. We need to recognize that, and we need to overcome that. I think that is a sine qua non for moving ahead.
But how would you do that? What is the right process?
For the Palestinian side, the process is simple. I think first you need to be serious enough to give the Palestinian people real hope, tangible things, that things are changing and we are heading in the right direction, not repetition of the same old lies that were told to them. So this time should be different. That's number one. Number two, there are also cases that need some special care. For instance, people with special needs. We have to take care of them. Orphans, we have to take care of them. We have to address the community in a different manner and in a responsible manner. Because the way forward is not to lie to anybody. The way forward is to actually say the truth, try to explain it well, and then give a solution. Give a solution and give some kind of a way out for the current problem and the current trauma that we all have.
So now a question to both of you, and first to Ehud. Should Israel have released or release now Marwan Barghouti?
I suggest that you will relax. Now I want to say this. I think that this question is very insulting for the Palestinians. Marwan Barghouti is, I'm not talking now about his indictments and his convictions, murders like what he was accused of were released in abundance by the Israeli government at the Shalit deal and throughout now in all this process. Hundreds of murders of the worst kind were released. So first of all, if you ask me if I'm in favor of or not of releasing him, I don't have any particular position. He could have been released amongst the question is not this, and why do I say that this is in a way insulting? You really think that in amongst all of the Palestinian people, okay, there is no one that is potentially capable of leading them other than a person that is sitting already 24 years and you don't even know who he is today and what is his capacity and what the 24 years in jail caused to him that may qualify him or disqualify him to be the leader of the Palestinians. I must say, okay, for the sake of just putting things from my point of view in the right perspective, when I was Prime Minister, a couple of Israeli public figures, well known, asked my permission to meet with him on a regular basis and to talk with him and to exchange views and so on. And I allowed it. And I used to get reports after every meeting and so on. So I have nothing specific against him that I don't have against others that were convicted in such terrible things, okay? But what I want to say is it's not necessary, with all due respect. There are so many Palestinians that can qualify to be the leaders of the Palestinian people, including one sitting here. I mean, so to make the release of Marwan Barghouti as a potential turning point in providing the Palestinians with a leader, first of all, we don't need to provide the Palestinians with a leader. The Israeli attitude of patronizing the Palestinians is out of place for a long time, and I don't share it, by the way. The Palestinians will have to elect their leader in elections. Now, if in elections they will elect Marwan Barghouti, okay, even while he's sitting in jail, and maybe he's sitting in jail may increase his chances, I don't know, then the question will arise. But presently, I think really that there are urban legends sometimes are built in an artificial manner. It's not that important. And as I said from the outset, I wouldn't have made any exceptional protest had he been amongst the 200 or 300 of the murderers that were released in the deal. I just don't think that it is the necessary solution for the issue of the Palestinian leadership, and I don't think that we are the ones that should be responsible for providing the Palestinians with the leader. They are smart enough to do it by themselves.
And what's your take on that?
You want me to answer the question?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I'll try. Listen, my answer is very clear, and it is yes. He has to be released because I think, like many prisoners, he deserves freedom, he deserves to see the sun, and he deserves to start breathing free air, like all of them. Now, what will happen after that politically, I don't know, because we hear rumors, lots of rumors, including freeing and deporting him to Doha or to the Emirates or whatever. So that will change the calculus, of course, and calculus of everybody. And I think we need to wait and see what would happen after that, after releasing him. But as a matter of principle, my answer is yes.
Let's talk about the rebuilding and in Gaza, in which you have an interest, I believe. And can it really happen? I mean, they talk about investments of hundreds of billions of dollars to build everything that is rubble, to build social services, hospitals, schools that no longer exist, mosques, you name it. How do you envision Gaza if this money and the right governance structure is found and established?
Number one, I think that Gaza can be rebuilt, yes, and it shall be rebuilt. However, I think that it's going to be extremely difficult. This is no, simple journey, and there is no easy solutions. It's going to be extremely difficult because, as you said, Aloof, everything has been destroyed. Everything has been destroyed, including human beings, and that's probably more difficult and more important than the buildings and the infrastructure and things like that. So that's number one. Number two, I want to say also that the 20-point plan that was presented by President Trump, in spite of all its shortcomings, nevertheless, it has worked, at least with its first phase. The release of hostages, the release of many Palestinian prisoners, almost a ceasefire, preparing for the second phase and things like that. There are many shortcomings, as I said, but we are now getting into the second phase, which is more difficult. And I think also that it's not going to be easy. At this stage, we have different positions by different parties as a result of not opposing goals, but as a result of probably different ideas because of lack of discussion, lack of dialogue, and things like that. I don't think it's very difficult to overcome this problem, but it is a problem now. And probably you have heard there is a draft that's being circulated in New York, Security Council draft resolution. And to be frank with you, I don't think that the draft provides for the necessary answers. At the same time, I can say that I don't think that the answer to the draft should be, no, we rejected, blah, 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 blah. I mean, we have always to think of solutions, of bridging proposals, of something to be done together. And you cannot dismiss the United States as nobody. I mean, this is the strongest country in the world, and this is the strongest man in the world, Donald Trump, and he has to be treated as such. But as things stand now, we still have many problems. To name some, the governance, the structures of governance, we still have questions about that. International force, some people say enforcement force, some people say no, we can't have enforcement force because that means that the foreign soldiers will go in and disarm Hamas themselves, which I don't think is feasible. Number three is the idea of Israel withdrawing, maybe gradually, maybe alongside the deployment of the force, maybe other conditions as well, but as an idea, as a principle, it should be there, which is not the case now, and so on and so forth. The role of the PA, and maybe this is, to me at least, less important, than the three positions or the 3 points or principles that I mentioned.
Ehud, apart from being the former prime minister, you're also an incumbent opinion writer for Haaretz. For Haaretz, you're writing opinion pieces for us every few weeks. And you wrote several very strong pieces, articles about the pogroms in the West Bank by settlers against their Palestinian neighbors, their relocation, forced relocation of villagers, attacking the olive harvest, etc.
I'm very happy that you asked me this question, because I was about to volunteer my response, even if had you not asked me the question.
But Ehud, I happen to read your articles.
Yeah, that's right.
I read Haaretz.
Yeah, actually, you are the first that read them. No, because I send it to him. If he doesn't find them appropriate, he just throw them to the basket. So I want to say this, and I want to choose the most careful words, okay, not to stretch it beyond the appropriate limit. What is being done today in the territories on a daily basis are crimes of the worst possible kind that I, as an Israeli and as a Jew, I am ashamed of them. And I think, and I kept saying it several times in Haaretz, that's true, that they attempt to minimize this, to say that this is done by a handful of a minority of young people, and this is not a representative of the entire community. I beg to differ. It is done by thousands, and it is supported by tens of thousands, and the municipal leaders who are enormously influential in the community of Jews that live in the territories are completely in support of them, and I'm using the mildest possible words, and this is extremely difficult for me, because what I want to say is much harsher and much more extreme in order to describe what is going on there. The idea that on a daily basis they are burning their olive groves, they are burning their properties, they are penetrating into their homes, and they are threatening and sometimes killing innocent people that have nothing to do with terror, and that at the end of such an event, the Palestinians are arrested and none of the perpetrators that committed it is held or is under any custody, because the police didn't find, the Ben Gvir police didn't find the perpetrators. This is disgusting, obnoxious, unforgettable, and unforgivable. And if we will continue, to overlook it, and if the police will continue to support it, and if the army will continue to shift his eyes from what's happening in front of them, then one day, the state of Israel will be brought to the International Court of Criminal Court in The Hague. And I'm afraid that then we will not have a good defense.
With this harsh warning, I'd like to conclude. And
I'm sorry. I'm not concluded yet.
Always the last word.
No, not the last. I always prefer that Dr. Al-Kidwa will be the last, but I want to say one thing. I know, although it wasn't, you asked it, but we didn't relate to it perhaps in a more explicit manner. The question is, I mean, what the hell are you talking about? You two guys, you're talking about a Palestinian state. The Palestinians are not in favor, the Israelis are not in favor. How can we seriously believe that this is something realistic enough? So I'm not talking now about the doability, the practicality of this. It is practically possible according to the plan that we have submitted, based on what I proposed to Mahmoud Abbas in 2008-2009. I'm talking about the ability to change the balance inside the state of Israel and inside the Palestinian community. And this is something that if we will not be fighting for, it will never happen. So it's true, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be simple. We have to get rid of our government, which is a job in itself, in order to make it more plausible, yet not certain. But first of all, we have to do this in order to solve other problems as well. And then we have to battle and to fight and to campaign and to do on a day and night, because there is not any other possible future for the state of Israel if we will not resolve this historic conflict between us and the Palestinians. If we believe that we can continue to be forever occupiers of millions of people, denying them the rights of self-determination, denying them the rights of freedom of movement in where they live, and searching them day and night in all kinds of manners, this is not going to bring us any closer to the kind of life which we deserve to have and that they deserve to have. Therefore, I'm not trying to say that this is simple, but I'm not prepared to lose my optimism that this is something that can be done if we will have the power, the determination, the leadership, the vision, the inspiration to fight for it. And that's what we're going to do.
And final remarks?
Final remarks is simple. When it comes to talking and writing, I cannot compete with Aluf Ben. So thank you all.
Thank you. And we'll do it again in our next event.
Thank you.